What's cracking, people? This is your man, Cousin T, and welcome to this installment of
I'm trying to give you 60 seconds of affection.
60 Seconds of Selectcellence, where doubt and hateration meet observable reality. Now, today's installment is brought to you by the T-Taw Tabernacle. Feel free to donate to the Hot House Healing Building Fund. The link will be in the description down below. So today's clip comes from a YouTube recommendation that came across my feed, and it was interesting. There are multiple themes or multiple elements that I could pick out from this interview, but I wanna give three major sort of nuggets or takeaways from this interview. I'll link the original video in the description down below, but basically this is an interview with former porn star Lisa Ann. And the thing about porn stars who would be classified as the diesel octane, if we're going by the octane scale provided by the master teacher BGS, strippers, porn stars, escorts, people of that caliber in that space represent the diesel level on the octane scale. But one of the things you can I appreciate personally about diesel octane women is that they are brutally honest. Because what happens is, in their line of work, they have to be able to read a guy faster than the average woman, and it becomes sort of a reflex, and they practice it so much that they commit it to muscle memory. And this particular clip that I'm gonna play today is an interview with Lisa Ann, and she's talking about sizing up a guy who she would not have sex with, and how she lets the guy down. And the interesting thing about it is the interviewer says, oh, well, it's obvious, if you don't find a guy to be an alpha, then of course you're not going to have sex with him. That's a yes and no sort of statement, and I'm going to leave it to Lisa Ann to explain why that's a yes and no statement. But first, to get back to the original point, the reason why diesel octane women have to be honest, and when they make their personal choice. Now, there's this fantasy that they project in their in their professional lives. There's a fantasy that gets projected on the screen with pornography. There's a fantasy that gets projected on the stage with exotic entertainers. There's a fantasy in photo shoots, and there's a fantasy in escort life. However, in their personal lives, they tend to be unfiltered, and average man cannot handle that level of honesty. And when they find a guy that's outside of their professional or stage life, they immediately size him up to either be a mark or to be someone who can actually fulfill their sexual desire, scratch their itch, so to speak. So these type of women, you have to be able to appreciate their level of honesty. I know Kevin Tembles just made a great video talking about sevens, and he made a reference to sugar babies, why he can appreciate sugar babies, because they're upfront and honest about what they're expecting out of the exchange. I want this lifestyle in exchange for my presence, in exchange for my energy, exchange for my sexual access. That's something that a lot of vanilla, blue pill men, whoever you want to call it, beta, can't get, because in order to get to that space, you have to have had a come to self moment where you're completely honest and you're self-aware and you're mature enough to understand that there are higher levels of interaction and higher levels of honesty between man and woman that cut out a lot of the bullshit, cut out a lot of the beating around the bush. You get straight to the point. This is who I am. Let me present that to you. It's either acceptable or not. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this clip, and then I'll see you on the other side.
I think he slammed a couple drinks before we met because he's nervous to be around me. When I sense a guy's nervous, then I know we can't fuck.
Right.
We just can't fuck.
Right. You need, I mean, these athletes are alpha males.
Not only that, I'm going to ruin his sexual future because all of his friends are going to be waiting for the report card. He's going to come home like rocking in the corner because he either came in 2 seconds or couldn't get hard.
Right.
I don't want to do that to a dude.
Does that happen? People can't get hard because they're too nervous?
I can sense it. And when
you know it's going to happen, so you don't let it.
So I don't let it happen.
I see.
I'm always protective of the male ego.
And so we're back. Gentlemen, so much was said in those few seconds in that clip right there. Like I said, I'm going to link the entire video down below so that you can follow the track of her journey and the interesting adventures and interactions that she's had over the course of her career and post-career life. I think hers is an interesting story, but I think that the takeaway from this particular case study is that when a woman is allowed to speak freely and she is given a space of non-judgmental conversation, she will admit that what arouses her is what a woman seeks first when she is doing that initial overview or that initial scan of a man. And part of masculine mastery is owning your presence. The body game is important because that is your transport vehicle. That is how you present yourself to the world. We can talk about finances. We can on other channels. I'm not that guy. We can talk about finances. We can talk about politics. We can talk about social structures and rules and constructs and why we need dotted lines down the street in a major city and why can't we all just live in the woods and just be rich or whatever. At the end of the day, it's all about your presence. It's all about owning your frame. It's all about being unapologetically alpha. All of these things make up our nature. And the reason for this was displayed in that audio footage. It is because when you strip away everything that we've built in societies and all this other stuff, one truth remains always. Female nature will always seek and find its target. And the target of female nature is masculinity. Let's never depart from that truth. True female nature's target is always going to be masculinity. We can make 1,000 podcasts, 1,000,000 videos, host limitless panels, but that truth is at the core of why we do what we do. And viewing this from the select man's vantage point, from the select eye, from the select consciousness, will better prepare you, better position you to present the most effective presentation of masculine mastery possible. As always, this is your man Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying stay sharp and mission focused, and we'll see you next time with another 60 seconds of Selectcellence. Later.